we thank you for moving by your Spirit as we've had our day of prayer. We thank you that you are moving and you're being faithful to us. These things we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Council, I need a motion on the work session minutes for June the 15th.
Move to adopt.
Have a motion to adopt. All in favor, raise your hand.
7 with 1 abstention.
I need a motion on the regular council meetings for the 15th of June.
Mr. President, move to adopt.
Have a motion. All in favor, raise your hand.
7 with 1 abstention.
Let me just take a moment for the city employees to hear this. I know y'all hope you missed me, but I've been gone for a little while here. I had a major health issue, and I want to say to the city that our Care Here program we have for our citizens, for our city employees, I believe saved my life. I went to them to have my medication renewed, and they found my cancer. And if I hadn't gone to them for medication renewal, the Care Here requires you to do every 3 months, I would not have seen the doctor. And I did. And thanks to Care Here and the leadership of our city, what our employees have got is something that's very valuable, and especially valuable to me now. And I want to say that to all the employees of the city. You got to realize how valuable Care Here is to you, and what that having the availability of a doctor every 3 months to see you, or once a year, it's very valuable. Thank you. Mayor, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you very much, and glad to see you back. Glad you're doing better. It's good to see everyone here with us, and it's good to see so many people coming out to take part in local government. So thank all of you for coming here tonight. We're going to start on the financial side and just kind of give an update. And thankfully things are a lot better this July than they were last July. So we got some very good news, and we got just a few slides that we're going to share with you regarding sales and use tax, lodging tax, gasoline tax, and the alcoholic and beverage tax. As you see on this first slide, the sales and use tax still is showing significant growth year over year. Revenue from sales and use taxes increased for the month of June more than 12% above the same month of the prior fiscal year. Overall, sales and use tax revenue is up more than 14% year over year. That's very positive for us, and it means good news for us moving forward. The increased growth in sales and use tax is an indicator that more of you and more of our citizens around Montgomery are spending more in local grocery stores, restaurants, athletic venues, as well as retail stores. These are the sectors where most of the growth has occurred. So we're seeing our economy come back. We're seeing strong and steady support there. Many of the retail clothing stores are also experiencing positive growth. Even with many sales taking place online, we still get a portion of that, even if you're purchasing from a retailer that's not physically here. Since stay-at-home mandates have been lifted, many of our citizens are getting out more and supporting our local and small businesses. Next slide, please. Lodging tax revenue is definitely making a comeback, and this is indicative of the tourism in a much improved city's market. We're starting to see more and more people, not only downtown, but in other parts of the city, who are visiting, who are using our hotels, who are coming here for small gatherings, and they're also getting out into our retail industry as well. This tax for fiscal year 2021 compared to June of fiscal year 2022 had a significant growth rate of more than 126%. So that's roughly a complete change of what we saw this time last year. So again, if you look at fiscal year 2020, for the month of June, you'll see 462,575. versus the $1,046,205. So again, that's where you're seeing the big increase, and that's down a little bit from May, but it's a complete reversal and acceleration in terms of what we want to see for our lodging tax. So I believe that we're poised to see nothing less than break even for this revenue stream at the end of our fiscal year. And this is great to say that tourism is back in Montgomery. And before I move to the next slide, we got a unanticipated shot in the arm with one of the major drivers of tourism announcing expansion. And that was the announcement today from the Equal Justice Initiative announcing that the Legacy Museum will be expanded by a multiple of 4 to 5 times its size. They've been working on this project for a number of months, and it's really due to the increased demand and the increased interest around many of the things that the Equal Justice Initiative has been sharing with not only our city and state, but this nation for well over 3 decades, and certainly what they've been doing since the museum opened and the memorial opened just a couple of years ago. So we're excited about that increase, but we're more excited that people want to come visit Montgomery to learn about the progress that we've made and to learn about the positive steps that we continue to make in our city. And I think it's important that we try to make sure that we don't try to just monetize questions and interests around racial progress and civil rights in this country, but that we also take into account what we can do here to implement that throughout our community. We have to be the beacon of light. We have to make sure that we aren't just saying and selling, but that we're actually living and doing what it is that we espouse through the Equal Justice Initiative, and not just benefiting from some of the revenue that we get because of the destination that we have become. So I'm excited about that announcement from Brian Stevenson and the Equal Justice Initiative, and we look forward to partnering with them and working with them both from the city as well as the Chamber of Commerce to continue to make a bigger impact, not only through tourism, but also through what we're doing both policy-wise and what we do throughout signaling the type of city that Montgomery is and what we plan to be. Next slide, please. The gasoline tax revenue had a positive growth rate in June of nearly 27%. Again, tremendous growth rate that we're seeing here. While down somewhat from the May number, it's still positive growth. And that's really what we want to see, because the gasoline tax revenue has a positive growth rate of about 4% year to date. Again, tremendous change from what we saw fiscal year 2020, and we're just excited to see these numbers continue to show that people are moving around, people are starting to get back into a way of transporting themselves from whether it be locally or whether it be travel. And I was about to say they're getting back to the way things used to be, but we aren't quite there yet. So we're still working to get there, but these numbers certainly are poised and position us to be going along the right trend. And we're poised for, again, a positive statement by the end of the fiscal year. Now we'll go to the final slide, and that is the alcoholics and beverage tax. This tax had a negative growth rate for the month of June compared to the previous year. Overall, year to year, this tax has a positive growth rate of nearly 4%. Again, in part, this is because as people travel, they're spending this type of excess income, if you will, or this discretionary income in other places, so they aren't just kind of spending it all here. So that negative number is not a negative number in the overall sense. It just means that people are spending for some of their beverages in other places. But again, that's offset by the lodging tax that we see coming in because people are still spending their money in other ways here in Montgomery. So when we see this positive growth rate of nearly 4%, the year-end projections for revenue and expenditures, we believe we'll be able to present at the next meeting on July the 20th. Well, on July the 20th. So again, we want to make sure that we conclude by saying we got very, very strong numbers tax-wise. Our revenue numbers are very strong, and that is, of course, to many of you that are here and others that are coming to visit our city. Now, we're going to transition a little bit to Chief Jordan. and Montgomery Fire and Rescue update. And Chief, you want to come and just kind of give us just a quick overview of the video that we're about to see.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We want to take a moment to thank the mayor and support of the city council for putting us in a position that for the first time in probably 20 years, we're going to be able to hire and be competitive in our hiring and retaining our firefighters. And so we want to share with you guys today a recruiting video that we're putting together that's going to be pushed out on social media. It's also going to be something that the mayor, when he came in probably 18 months ago, pushing out to our school system, recruiting our local people to be firefighters and getting the message out. So we're going to take about 3.5 minutes to show you what we came up with.
My name is Lieutenant Jason Selman. I've been with Montgomery Fire for nearly 19 years.
Hi, my name is Ebony Jones, and I am a firefighter here at Montgomery Fire Rescue.
Selma Rapolis, Sergeant Paramedic at Montgomery Fire Rescue.
My name is Lieutenant Devon Hankman. I work with the Montgomery Fire Rescue.
My name is David Capsula. I'm a captain at Montgomery Fire Rescue.
My name is Captain Obedient. I'm a captain with the Division of Training of Montgomery Fire Rescue.
Captain K.R. Peoples. I'm currently serving as a fire investigator. I am the chief fire investigator with the Bureau of Investigation.
Devin Otwell. I'm a fire lieutenant here at Montgomery Fire Rescue.
Hello, I'm firefighter Regatta Fred.
My primary job now is I'm a sergeant in charge of a rescue unit. The rescue units respond to all calls 911 and medical calls. Montgomery Fire Rescue strategically set up their stations in a way that the rescue units can respond really quickly to any location in the city.
What I loved about the job so early was the excitement, the thrill, and also being able to help people. And the medic division taught me a lot, how to make decisions very rapidly, quickly. You have seconds to act on some things.
I am a legacy firefighter. My father was a firefighter here at Montgomery. He retired as a captain at Station 3. Growing up, seeing him sparked my interest in becoming a firefighter.
The traits that you gotta have for this job is you can't be
What's your
scared.
view then?
You can't be afraid of new challenges. And the traits that's good for that is you gotta be leadership, camaraderie, and be able to do whatever it takes to get the job done.
In special ops, we deal with search and recovery.
It's
and
in
swiftwater
17
rescue.
though, it's in this.
What motivates me is put the uniform on every day to bring my family back home. People I grew up with, their kids, they look up to me as a big sister, big cousin. I want to make them proud.
But serving as a fire investigator means that we go out and determine the origin and cause of fires, and if it's criminal in nature, then we also take it all the way from the fire scene itself all the way through the court process.
Any call basically that they can't figure out who to send, they send to the fire suppression. To me, the suppression division is the meat of the department. It's known for going inside of house fires, rescuing people, and putting the fire out. And then we also expand. We do private alarms, citizen distress.
Montgomery Fire and Rescue is one of the highest paid fire departments in the state of Alabama. With great employee benefits, retirement, and opportunities to receive additional salary increase through incentive pay for assignment to paramedic, special ops, and specialty divisions.
Montgomery Fire Rescue is looking for some specific attributes in your training, specifically dedication, willingness to put in hard work, willingness to not give up, because we're here to serve the citizens of Montgomery and do our best.
So, again, thank you for putting us in a wonderful position. That's our job. I'm going to big University of Alabama fan, and we want to hire some 5 stars. Thank you.
I want to thank all the men and women of Montgomery Fire Rescue for the work that they do every day, and we're glad that we're in a position to be able to provide them with the necessary support and resources to serve this community. Now I'm just going to touch on 2 quick things, and then I'll be able to move along. We want to thank the council in advance for working with us regarding street renaming procedure changes. As many are aware, we've been discussing how do we honor someone like Attorney Fred Gray, and how do we make sure that others are included in that going forward. And we found that some of the existing procedures over the city has some inefficiencies. And what we've tried to do is we've tried to simplify that to make sure that some of the slight changes that we're proposing to the current procedure still follow the same three-pronged process, of property owner approval, planning commission recommendation, and then city council approval. When we understand what we found through this process, and some who've been on the council have shared this with me in the past, often you have out-of-state property owners who don't always respond to letters. And whether or not they approve them, they're part of the count, they're part of the process. Now, you also have some local property owners that don't as well. But despite sending multiple letters and making numerous calls, as well as even going door to door, we found it's been hard to get access. And so what we will change is the process so that anyone who does not respond doesn't impede the process of us moving forward. And in the spirit of one person, one vote principle, I'm seeking to create a fairer system in which each property owner has one vote as opposed to multiple votes if they own multiple properties on said street. In order to make this process more accessible for residents, we want to allow our residents to submit a waiver application to be reviewed with objective criteria. And those who do not have the financial means to afford the fees or the cost of changing the signs, they can apply for that waiver. We believe anyone should be able to propose a street name change regardless of their financial status. We'll also create an appeals process which is consistent with the processes in other cities, in which those seeking the name change can appeal to the Planning Commission and City Council should their proposal be rejected by property owners or by the Commission itself. We also plan to make the process less bureaucratic by eliminating the need for utility companies' approval. We believe this process should really be in the hands of the will of the community, not necessarily those of corporations. Lastly, we realize residents may be concerned about having to change their address due to their license, credit cards, bills, and etc. And so we offer a way to recruit volunteers to assist residents in this process and make it a smoother change. And we believe that some of the most rewarding challenges in life are hard. And renaming streets take effort. But it's important that we make sure that we're cognizant of those that have contributed so much to allow us to be here, and that we can honor them in a way that is fitting. And while we're talking about one person, or while I've been talking about one particular person, Attorney Fred Gray, there are others that deserve to be honored as well. And so we'll go about those discussions at a later date. So I want to thank the council for being patient with us and working with us on those initiatives. Now, I want to give just a quick update on 4th of July weekend. We had a number of calls, but those calls for service were down 30% from the year 2020 and 22% pre-pandemic from the year 2019. Shots fired calls were down 73% from the year 2020 and 58% from 2019. Illegal fireworks calls were down 47% from 2020 and about 8% from 2019. Calls related to gunfire and fireworks were down 50% from 2020 and again 18% pre-pandemic in 2019. Now, we did see an increase in shot spot alerts, but we believe that we're also trying to invest more in those shot spotters, so some of this can be attributed to more technology covering more area. And we still continue to believe that that is one of the areas that we have to continue to make sure that we stay up to date in as it relates to our technology to identify some of these areas. To the credit of Chief Harris and her team and the men and women of the Montgomery Police Department, out of the illegal gunshots, there was one arrest that was made that came from that, and we'll be sharing that with the public this week. So it's important to know that our police department takes those calls very seriously. Our police department investigates those calls like they would anything else. And the 4th of July, no pass was given for anyone. And so we hope this sets an example to others who are engaging illegal activity, that regardless of what day it is or what holiday it is, if it's illegal to shoot guns in the air, if it's illegal to shoot guns in the city, to the degree that we can find those perpetrators, we're going to do that. And I want to commend Chief Harris and her team for that arrest, and I want to commend the community for working with us to identify who those people were and where those shots were coming from. So thank you for the calls. Thank you for your overall involvement. And with that said, Mr. President, that will conclude the mayor's message, and I'll take my seat. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. President. Representative for Mental Health, if you would please approach the dais. Mr. President, Council, I met with this group last week, and they talked about a diversion center that they're bringing to Montgomery to open up, and just wanted to show a presentation on what that would do when it comes to mental health within our community.
Great.
Good evening. Thank you for having us this evening. My name is Donna Leslie. I'm the Executive Director at Montgomery Area Mental Health Authority. I have with me Shirley Carlisle, our Clinical Director, and Ms. Lori Harris, our Chief Operations Officer. I want to thank Councilor Calhoun for sponsoring us this evening. Just want to give an update on our crisis diversion program, make sure that you're all aware of what's going on and what this program is going to do for the
Stay as close
citizens
to
of
the mic
Montgomery.
as you can.
I'm sorry?
Stay as close to the mic as you can.
All right. Can you hear me now? All right, next slide, please. So this has been needed for many, many years. We've been talking about the need for a crisis diversion center to keep our citizens who are in a crisis, a mentally ill crisis, out of jail and out of the emergency rooms. If you go to Baptist, Jackson, they are filled with people who are in crisis. And those individuals, once they go to the emergency room, they're there 3 times longer than a typical visit. Costs about $1,200 on average. Law enforcement, when they're called to the scene of a mental health crisis, they're there for 145 minutes. That tends to be the very first contact when somebody's having a psychosis or they're having a behavioral health crisis. It's your emergency room, it's your law enforcement, and that's not what we want. So next slide, please. So a crisis diversion center, and this is, again, for years we've been talking about the need to have one. What it's going to do is it offers a 24/7 ability to evaluate, triage, and respond to these people and get them where they need to go and keep them out of the emergency rooms and out of the jails. It's not where they need to be. Our probate courts, they're tied up with commitment hearings that most of the time can be avoided if they're caught up front and properly assessed and sent to the right place. So not only will this diversion center save Montgomery money, it will save lives. Next slide, please. So the RFP was issued last year through the state. This was done with leadership from Representative Nathaniel Ledbetter. This had strong bipartisan support and support from the governor. So funding was approved last year to support 3 crisis diversion centers across the state. It was a competitive process. Next slide. And we were fortunate to win the award, and that's a big deal for Montgomery. The other 2 centers will be in Mobile and in Huntsville through Wellstone. So our center, what it will do, quick response, 911, if they're called, instead of going to the emergency room, which is what's happening now, they'll be able to go here. We'll be able to get the right person evaluating them without having to call somebody in, and then we'll be able to refer them where they need to go. And then the most important piece is we'll be able to follow up, because anybody who's worked in the ER or gone to the jails, these are the same folks we're seeing over and over and over again. Next slide. So what this will look like, we will have 10 temporary observation beds. So you think of this as kind of like a mini mental health ER. Anybody who comes in will be able to evaluate, triage, see what's going on. If we need to keep them for up to a day, that's where they'll go to this temporary observation unit. So law enforcement will be able to bring them in. You can walk in, there's many ways you can get to these beds. If we need to keep them a little bit longer, we'll have 16 extended observation beds in addition to the 40 beds we already operate, and then we'll have transfer agreements with some of the local hospitals and hospitals across the state. We're also partnering with 2 other mental health centers in our region who backed our proposal. They're having additional mobile crisis units, and we'll have transfer agreements with them. The community diversion, this is what's already in place right now, where the funding has given us additional mobile crisis response. Next slide, please. This is the building we have purchased. We just closed last month. It's about 18,000 square feet. We're going to be adding on an additional 2,200 square feet. Beautiful location. You're probably going to ask, where is it? Next slide, I'll show you. It's right off of Carmichael, so if you go past the bypass like you're headed towards Shakespeare, it's easy access from 85. And then next slide, you can see a little sneak peek of the layout, and this is, you can see, it's going to be a beautiful building, and it's going to be a secure building, and it's going to be really something Montgomery will be proud of. Next slide. Timeline, we closed on the building in June, so bids will be out this week. We're doing a phased bid package because we're going to be doing it in phases. So the first bid is for demolition, which will start this month. We are looking to have this facility open in December of 2021. The first phase of the project has already begun in May, where we added a mobile crisis team. Up until now, when you called our line, once you hit 5 o'clock on the weekend, if it was a crisis, all we could do was say, sorry, you're going to have to go onto the ER. Now we're able to send people out. And we're doing co-response with the Sheriff's Office, with MPD. That's something we're still working and building with them, and it's working. And we're right now diverting people from the emergency room. So we're able to go out, evaluate, get them into one of our beds that we're currently operating. So it's a really great program, and I'm excited to see this develop. Next slide. So admissions, like I said, anyone can walk in. The law enforcement will have a separate Sallyport entrance, so they'll be able to bring folks in. The ambulances can bring them in, whereas public will have a separate entrance. We're also going to have telemedicine equipment, so if our mobile teams go out and somebody's in crisis, we can go ahead and link up to the center and evaluate that way, so we might even be able to avoid them having to come in at all and get them some medication and then get them their appointments right there on the spot. Next slide. And the follow-up, again, this is critical, where we really are emphasizing we want to make sure that these folks don't just slip through the cracks, where we follow up. Did you make your appointment? Did you go where we wanted, where we said this is where we think you need to go? We want to make sure they actually got there. Next slide. The center will also house all of our crisis teams. We have a new position that we just filled, the crisis outreach director, so they'll be housed there. So the entire facility will really be a focus on whatever we need to do to be able to handle whatever you're bringing to us. We'll be able to get you the right help and quickly. Next slide. So with the phase 1 that I spoke of, this is the co-response model. That's where our mobile teams are responding with the CIT officers. MPD has a really great team. CIT stands for Crisis Intervention Training, so these officers are trained in how to respond to crisis. So we're linking up with them. And so that is happening, like I said, right now. Next slide. The community collaborative, this is a keystone. This isn't something, we did not reinvent the wheel. This is based off of models that you'll see out in San Antonio, out in Georgia. It works when you have community collaboration. So hospitals, law enforcement, stakeholders, everybody has to work together on this project to make it work. Next slide. Our budget, we have startup funds that the state has given us, and we have ongoing funds. It's $7 million that we were awarded from the state. Our startup budget has tripled in cost. The renovations with the cost of materials, we also now need to meet Joint Commission standards, which was added on after we got the award, which is good, but it's more expensive. Joint Commission is your gold standard for operating a facility like this. It's a hospital level standard. So to meet those needs, that's why we had the addition to make sure that the building meets those. Our operational costs are going to be personnel. It would be the largest chunk of that. We're hiring an additional 83 people. Next slide. So we're coming to you today to ask for support. We're asking for support in two ways. First is an invitation to be a part of the collaborative to the city. We have put together an ongoing meeting. We just set this up the fourth Tuesday of each month, where different agencies, stakeholders, and I'd really like to have some involvement from the city, where even just to kind of be at the table and hear what's going on. So that's from 1 to 2:30, the fourth Tuesday of every month at our location on Upper Wetumpka. We desperately need the financial support. No crisis diversion center has made it with just the funds that are given. If you look at every successful operation, you have buy-in and financial support from your cities, your counties. The other two crisis diversion centers have that. San Antonio have that. We need that as well, especially with the increased costs. So where we are looking for an additional $500,000, we're at $1.6 million short to meet our startup budget. Originally, we had that $7 million. It's an $8.6 million budget right now with the renovation costs. And we want this to work. So we're going to the city, we're going to the counties, we're going to the other 3 counties, all the cities that, we cover a 4-county catchment area. So we'll be going to every single representative, because this is not just a Montgomery mental health project. This is a project that is going to make the city of Montgomery proud. So that's why our ask is it's not just something we want, we need this. Next slide, please. The other thing is we want to make sure that this is a quality, safe facility. We want people to walk in and say, okay, I can recover here. Where we talked to Child Protect earlier, it makes a big difference when you walk in and you feel like you can recover in a place. So we want to make sure not only does it meet standards, but that it's a beautiful building, and it's a safe building, and it's a building you can recover in. In addition, the personnel costs, if you look and see what a nurse, it's not easy to hire nurses, and we want to make sure we hire quality staff who are going to take care of our consumers. So we want to make sure our salaries are competitive. But our startup costs and the renovation are what we really are needing right now, is to make sure that we can meet all of those standards. And next slide. That's all I have. I'll be happy to answer any questions. And I thank you for your time.
For adolescents or adults, your facility?
We'll be able to triage and evaluate adolescents. We won't be able to admit them, but we'll be able to triage and get them referred out, and then be able to do follow-up.
Okay.
The next step would be a full center for
right
children
now we're
and
going to
adolescents.
Dothan.
So let's get this to work.
So right now we're taking them to Dothan, down to Laurel Oaks?
Right now you're taking them to, we start with Montgomery. Crossbridge has an adolescent unit, so we'll refer them there first, and then, Dothan, Birmingham. We really need more inpatient beds here in Montgomery.
Yes.
It's sad that we can't use all the beds we've got.
I'm sorry?
It's sad we can't use all the beds we've got that were here years ago. But now I see the 16 number again. You can only use 16 of the beds. We got 200 out at Greer. Only use 16 of those. I think the public needs to understand that's been a situation where the government has restricted how many people you can house in any one place. So, but this is great. This is going to be a big help to City of Montgomery, and I look forward to helping.
Thank you. Yes, sir. All right. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, Council, we had any special committees? I don't think we do today. Let's go to item number 1. Item number 1.
Mr. President, item 1, application for a lounge retail liquor class 1 license doing business as Aqua Ultra Lounge at 6804 Atlanta Highway.
Mr. Brown?
Hello.
Hi there. We, this is in my district, and I can just tell you that this has been a problem location for bars for a long, long time. The neighborhood does not want you there. The other businesses don't want you there. They came to me when we closed the last one down and had to have it done. So if you give me any kind of justification that you would be better, I'll listen to it. But I talked to the chief, police department. We got issues here, and I just don't see that we can grant you a license. I'm sorry.
I've spoken with the people that manage and work at the surrounding businesses. I've been knowing a lot of them for the past 10 years. I'm the UPS man on that route.
Okay.
And everyone has given me their blessing. I understand that this building that has been problematic in the past. There's been businesses that have been in this building that weren't problematic. I think the last business that operated was problematic, and I wish to change that. I've spoken with the people from the Cadence Bank to the car lot that sits there, the people at the Walgreens. They know me and they know me well. They're willing to give me a chance to be there. The way that the previous owner operated was him. I'm just asking for a fair chance to be able to open. I will operate differently, and I'm going to operate with a different demographic. It's been Bluebirds before. It's been a hookah lounge before. In different times, it was successful and it wasn't problematic. I'm trying to operate a legitimate, okay business. I've spoken with everyone from the Cadence Bank, the Walgreens, all surrounding businesses, the vice president of the bank. I've spoken with the people at the car lot, the owner of the car lot. I've spoken with Mr. Gandhi, the owner of the gas station. He had problems. I've spoken with all of them. I know all of them well. All of them are willing to give me a chance at doing it. The parking lot that I'm going to use for the parking, it's an eyesore there. The terms that the bank and the property manager who is over the parking lot, one of the terms is that I keep the parking lot clean. I'm going to keep it clean, I'm going to do the groundskeeping on it, and I have to pay to use the parking lot. I'm going to operate in a different manner.
Let me ask you this. The building's for sale. It's got a for sale sign on it.
Correct.
Are you buying the building?
No, I'm leasing it.
You're leasing the building?
Yes.
So the owner still owns it and he still got it for sale, so
Yes, he does. He owns it and he wants to sell it. I'm currently in the lease through 2023, January of 2023.
Okay.
I think one
Chief,
of the,
tell me what.
Yes, sir. I think one of the reasons why we came back here today was because he is saying that Fund Zone has given him permission, the bank who has taken over the property has given him permission to utilize this property for parking. And I think that one of the things he was supposed to do today was bring the paperwork from the bank that said, yes, he does have the ability to utilize it, yes, he can rent the property, and et cetera. So with that being said, if you do have that, this is where you're...
I have the email on my phone, and I had it the last meeting.
You were supposed to bring the paperwork from the...
No, you remember-
contact the bank and print it out so that the council could have it. However, with that being said, I think the issue would be that if he does have legitimate use of it, how is he going to maintain getting individuals from that parking lot to the business safely without causing an issue? And I think that that's something he would need to address.
I'm going to have a officer. The name of the street that runs off Minnie Brown is Oates Drive. I'm going to have an officer, an off-duty officer, on the corner. I'm going to have one of my own security guards in the parking lot. I think that would make it safe. I've been to the parking lot many a times. It is lit. There's lighting back there, and I have permission. I had the paperwork the last city council meeting. You weren't present, and I have the permission. I have it in my phone. I can print it and I can present it. It's not a problem.
Since I've not been here, it's on my back.
Right,
because
right,
I'm
right,
back.
right. Yes, sir.
I'm gonna give you 2 more weeks, and we're gonna figure this thing out, because tonight, I didn't know what you know, okay?
Yes, sir.
But we will get with the bank. The bank was the number one, the car people in that, all those were having trouble with this whole location. And
Right.
unless you can prove to me, and after the meeting, call me and we'll get together on this, and I'll talk it through with you, okay? But
Okay.
it's on my back to make sure we don't have the same problem we
Right.
had before.
Right. I
What
understand.
the police department had with it before, we can't
Right.
have that again, period.
I understand, but I do plan on operating a little bit differently.
I understand that, but I want to make sure of that, okay?
Mr.
Now, I met
President,
you.
Mr.
Yes, sir.
President, he needs to also realize that the police officers right now that you're talking about, there is a breakdown in communication, and we cannot have police officers working at clubs right now because of the insurance policy is not covered.
Right.
Is that news to you?
Yes. If that's going to be a problem, then I'll have a security guard with a vehicle at that corner. And the reason I'm putting them directly on the corner is so they can watch and assist and protect the customers walking to the building. Another security guard is going to be in the parking lot. I met with my head of security the other day. I have to have 11 officers. One of them is going to be strictly in that parking lot to protect the vehicles.
Well,
Mr. President.
yes, sir.
You're going to give him 2 weeks. Well, Mr. Brown, I think it is the responsibility of your business to, whether you use MPD, off-duty, we're having that dilemma. The business owners need to take responsibility to, secure patrons that's coming to your business.
Right,
So,
I agree.
Yeah, so, he's going to allow you 2 weeks, and I guess we need to come up with a plan just in case you don't have the Montgomery Police Department.
Okay.
And make sure, Chief
Yes,
Harris.
sir. I wanted to come up and just speak on it. And some of this, I know we've been through 3 meetings on this so far, but one thing that I want to make clear for the next council meeting that we come to, there was mentioned in the previous meeting that there were 75 parking spots that belong to the business. And looking at the aerial view and being out there in that parking lot, there are not adequately 75 spots.
Not adequate for that.
Yes, sir.
He can have how many people can you put in that club?
A 404?
404.
Yes, sir.
How in the world do you park that many people?
Okay, let me give a breakdown of the parking. In my parking lot alone, which extends from 6806 Atlanta Highway to 6802 and around back, I've counted them myself personally. There's 34 or so parking spots in that parking spot. In the street that you turn in off of Minnie Brown, there's a wall that's located. There's another 10 spots there. I've spoken with the manager at KFC. She said as long as I keep the property clean and no one parks there before 10 o'clock so that they don't block their drive-through the customers, she said I may use their parking lot as well. That's 75 spots between those parking lots.
Excuse me. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think that...
Wait, go ahead.
I think that in the future, that would be extremely problematic. We know the issues that we had with the businesses that he's speaking of. I know what everybody has told him, but in regards to his parking, he needs to have a better plan with the information with Fund Zone.
Okay.
And that, I don't think, depending on the other businesses.
Well, this ain't got enough parking, my
I guess my question is,
Well-
do his capacity has to do with his parking?
It should.
So I guess that the fire department will have to speak on.
The Fund Zone parking lot that I'm going to use has hundreds of parking spots over there, and I have full permission. Officer Reeves spoke with the property manager over the parking lot, and the lady, confirmed with her, and I have the email on my phone stating that as soon as I'm ready to open, that we're going to enter our lease.
Okay. I'll give you 2
Mr.
weeks.
President, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Can I just add this to the piece? I've been out there on those calls when we've had to go out there in the past, and previous owners, they were working with the police department. They had communication established with us. He wanted to do everything that he could to continue running his business, but one of the issues that we had was a traffic concern, traffic safety with pedestrians crossing from across Atlanta Highway or over Minnie Brown Roadway to go to the particular establishment. And at that time, the previous owners actually had access to that same lot that he's speaking of also. So we've seen the operation with them parking in the lot and having cars park over there in that grassy area. And I can't say what happened with the previous owner is going to happen with the new owner, but that's something that we have a true concern about. And speaking on behalf of the security, one of the things that we've been pushing out with all of our clubs, if you're going to have a licensed alcohol license at a club and establishment, by our ordinance, you have to go through the Alabama Regulatory Security Board to have certified security officers. So that's something that we would like to see too with that proposal going forward if he was granted his business license.
Makes sense to me.
Yep.
It seems like our police got a big concern about this.
I think so. I can't give you 2 weeks. I think the police department's satisfied. They've been dealing with this a lot longer than I have, so I would turn it down. Okay. I need a vote to turn it down. Okay. I need a motion.
Mr. President, I have a motion to deny item number 1.
All in favor, raise your hand.
7. Mr. Mitchell, you abstain?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Motion denied.
Thank you.
Sir.
Item 2, application for a lounge retail liquor class 2 package license doing business is on time at 3403 Norman Bridge Road.
How you doing?
Representative, yes, sir. Your name, sir, for the record?
Marcus McQueen.
Okay, Mr. McGreen. And is this yours?
Yes.
And you had someone want to speak on this?
Hey, how you
Yes,
doing?
sir, Mr. President. Marcus, this is your third time being up at the podium. We've talked a lot over the last 6 weeks. I've also had a lot of conversations with neighboring business owners and residents, and so it's just not a good fit for a liquor class 2 package store license in what the property is currently. And so my recommendation is to deny. So I'd like to, unless you have some comments.
Yeah, I actually do.
Go ahead.
Cause we sat down and said
Yep.
we was gonna get the meeting, right?
So-
with Mr. Coleman, Mr.
Yeah,
Colvin, right?
Yeah, CC and I went to your property. We
Right.
discussed. I was forthcoming, just like I've been the whole time, and
Right.
my opinion hasn't changed.
Right, but no, we had the meeting with Mr. Colvin, then, right? And ain't nobody showed up. We discussed that last week. Well, not last week, 2 weeks ago, that we did have the meeting at Tomatino's. That the community was coming out. No one showed up but Mr. Colvin. We stayed out over an hour discussing the business, what we was gonna do with what I was gonna do with the property, and no one showed up but Mr. Colvin. The first time we did the hearing, nobody came at all. So I'm
Understand.
thinking it's a community decision, not just one person.
Mr. Colvin's here in the audience as well as a few other neighbors, and I appreciate y'all both sitting down. He sent me an email with a recommendation with other people's also support not to support it.
Okay,
That their
but
interest
not to cut you off one time, but all right, like we just discussed with the Sahara, UNCC came out, seen how bad the Sahara was, right? Okay, but mind you, the next 2 days later, y'all submitted an offer for $100,000 for it. Not you particularly, but an offer came to me for $100,000 for it to sell it to a convenience store. You don't know nothing about it, right?
I don't know anything about
But we
that.
discussed it when you was there, because
There
you
was a
asked me.
call that
I just want to finish one time. That's it.
Sure.
You asked me why did I won't sell it to the third party. I asked them why they can't sell their part to me. Then we say that,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
That's what I'm saying. So
So-
the property. If I would have signed that $100,000 deal, then y'all were gonna put a convenience store there that
No.
sell beer, wine, and so on and so on, right?
Like we discussed over the last 6 weeks, what happened across the street, there was a new
That's-
purchase.
that's-
No.
that's- okay.
Just there was a new purchase of the convenience store. They were grandfathered in with not a package store.
We're not
beer and
talking
wine.
about that.
We're going to have the same conversation regardless of the future. I cannot predict the future. Marcus, you're a great guy, but you cannot predict the future. We're going to have these same type of conversations no matter who is at the podium. We're going to have these discussions. Right now, we're talking about your Class 2 package store license at your property at 3403 Norman Bridge Road, and currently it's a car lot. So that is what we're talking about. And we've
Right.
been talking about it I've been talking about it with neighbors, with business owners, with
I mean,
yourself.
they here, let them talk. Let them talk as well, because only Mr. Colvin was here.
They talk.
I mean, what?
We got you,
Yeah, we've got the report. We've had enough talking. This is the third time. So
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to deny.
Have a motion to deny. All in favor, raise your hand.
6. 5 and 6, you
I'm going to
abstained.
abstain.
Mr. Brenda, I didn't vote either.
You didn't need it? Okay, that's going to be 5. And you abstain?
Yes, ma'am.
3 abstentions, 5, 6, and 8.
5-4. Okay. Motion
The motion to deny
carries.
carries.
Huh? 5-3?
Yes, sir, 5-3. The motion to deny carries.
Next
Yes,
item?
sir. Item 3, hearing on proposed ordinance rezoning one lot located at 3402 Doris Circle from an R75M district to a B2 district.
Robusky?
Yeah.
Ronald Robusky?
He coming.
Okay, which one's it?
Good evening.
Yes, sir. You want to, this is Tommy? What you got?
Yes, sir.
Mr. President, the Planning Commission voted to recommend rezoning this property subject to the installation of a privacy fence.
Okay. Council, you got any questions on this one?
No, sir. Ms. Graham.
Need a motion, Ms. Graham, it's yours?
Yeah.
Okay. You can go ahead. You can do it?
Yeah.
You okay? Move it then. Okay. Give me a motion.
Motion to approve.
Yeah, that's it.
Adopt, yeah. A motion to adopt, all in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous, ordinance is adopted.
Thanks, sir.
Good luck with your business, sir.
Item 4, resolution declaring a moratorium on all club lounge license until the off-duty police insurance issue is resolved.
Okay, Mr. Pruitt.
Mr. President, we're going to carry it over for 2 weeks, but, you know,
let's do
can
that.
we get a commitment from the mayor and Stacy? I think this is a huge deal, just like that gentleman tonight had 400 people in his club. He would be required to have 8 officers.
Yeah.
And if we can't get this fixed, then we, the city, need to look at how we're starting to give these licenses out. Because
Okay.
we cannot continue to be their own duty security.
Well said, Mr. Pruitt.
All right.
Item 5, administrative procedures for renaming city streets.
Mr. President.
Pruitt.
I mean,
Yeah, huh?
Mr. President, I want to make add something, an amendment that I got from Mr. Tyson on item number 12. And I give it to Brenda. It's just upon approval, the land division shall notify the postmaster and all utility companies of the street name change by certified mail on that
Good.
number 5.
That's your addition to the substitute.
Yes, sir. That's my addition to
All
the
right, so we
substitute.
need a motion on the original.
We need a
procedure.
motion
Ms.
to
Bethel.
adopt, then a motion to substitute.
So
Mr. President, move to adopt.
Then a motion to
And I need
amend.
a motion to,
We got to have 3 motions. We've got to have a motion to adopt the original.
right.
Okay.
We've got to have a motion to substitute.
Okay.
Now we've got to
Substitute.
have a motion
Motion.
to amend the substitute.
Okay, I need a motion to amend. I need a vote on a motion to amend. All in favor, raise your hand.
7. Oh, you voted 8. You have to put your hand up a little higher. I can't see.
Can't see it, okay.
Unanimous.
Now I need a motion on the substitute.
Substitute is
Mr. President,
amended.
so move.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
And now on the main motion, all in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. The procedures are adopted as substituted and amended.
Thank you, council.
Very good.
Item
All right.
6, review of issues at Superstore at 1015 Mobile Road.
All right, Mr. Pentel. Yes, sir.
I got some people who don't want to come up too.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. This is Mr. Patel, and I'm operating 1015 Mobile Road, Montgomery. So I know I got little issue going on there, but we try to hard pushing and clean and everything. And store operate hour is
You can pull your mask off, sir. We can hear you better.
store operating hour is 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Friday. And he talking about Mr. Matt want to talk about more.
Mr. Matt.
Good afternoon.
Yes,
How you
Matt
doing,
Ellis.
sir?
He asked me to come with him tonight. I've represented him on a lot of things over the years, and we received a letter from Miss Graham, and we were just here because she asked us to be here.
All right.
Yeah, let me, if I could, Mr. President, have some of the community members. I think a few of them just recently left, but we do have a few more in here. If you would just come up for a moment and because I do want you to see that there are people from the community who do have a concern, and we want to make it safe for them. We want them to patronize your business, but at this time, if they don't feel safe, they not coming. And when we ride by and we see people just hanging out, they sitting at the pumps, there's no gas there, so they sitting on it. It's like the step where they sit at to just hang out and smoke their cigarettes and drink their alcohol. That's just unacceptable, and we just got to have a better face for that business there. So I understand that you told me that you had an issue about safety yourself at your business, and I'd like to see how MPD could kind of work with you a little bit. Maybe if it's more patrolling in the area or whatever it may be, so that you'll feel safe. But we've got to keep that space clear. That can't be the hangout spot for the community right there. That's just not appropriate. I'm not sure, sir, are you here to speak with him? Yeah, but that's not going to work. We've got to do something better. Mr. Brown, you want to say something? Come on, let Mr. Brown speak for me.
Yes, ma'am. First, before I say so, I want to say I prayed for you, and we may not agree on everything, but I prayed for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I've talked to Miss Graham. Now, Miss Graham, let me tell you something.
Tell
me. Me and you is more smarter than what Mr. Patel just said. He just said he have a hard time trying to control the people at his establishment. Now, if I had a business, Mr. Board over there got a business. If anybody come to his business and he don't want them there, he gonna trespass them and say you're gonna have to go, or I'm gonna call the police, or I'm gonna get some security to keep you from coming here. Miss Graham, before I got the Jamel Brown Center there, people been hanging out there on that corner like that's the corner late night club every single night. People ride down that street and they fly down that street, and you can even get accidents. And you know they going to, Mr. Pruitt, they're going to Geno's to get their liquor and get their tobacco and do what they want to do. This is an unsafe place. I know you want to try to give him a chance, but when you sent that letter to him, he talked to his little crowd there and told them what happened, and they left. Now, after this meeting, they close at 8. You give them about 30 minutes. They're going to get back over there, and they're going to hang out again. They even hung out even when you sent the letter. People go buy their stuff there, and they go somewhere, they commit a crime, they do something, and it's wrong. I am 100% against it. I hope you do a show cause, and the folks that he got coming up here be the main ones down there hanging out. Mr. Lyons, them be the main ones. I kid you not. Them the main ones hanging out there. And he know that, and I know he can control his crowd. Tell them to stop hanging here, stop learn, put up a sign. Put up a sign. This ain't got nothing to do with MPD. So he trying to fool the council and trying to fool me, but you can't fool us because we smarter than that. So I'm begging y'all, Miss Graham, it's something else got to be done. Y'all gonna send him a warning, but it's the same stuff. I want everybody, I want Chief Harris, please ride past there. They're gonna go there, they're gonna get their drinks, they're gonna get their tobacco, and they're gonna go somewhere else, and they're gonna cause problems. And I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it. They're gonna get mad at me, and they're gonna put my name out there, but I don't care. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I think that makes. Go ahead.
Is there anybody else that wanted to say anything about this before I move on? One of our business owners, I really wish she could have been here, but I know she has a business, and her business is very important to our community. So what I'm going to do, Mr. Patel, I agree with Mr. Brown. You can control it. So we're going to work that way. Whether you need to call MPD, you need to put you some cameras up, you need to hire you some security, whatever you need to do, but you need a better look. I'm going to ask you to come back in a month, and I want to see what it looked like. If it ain't no better, then we'll have another conversation. How about that?
Very good.
Sound good. We'll
Thank
see
you
you in a month.
Next item.
Okay. Just a minute, I'm writing what she requested. You want him to have more security, a better look?
Yeah.
Was that all?
Upgrading.
No, all of that hanging out, I want all of that to stop around this facility as well.
What about the facility?
the hanging out. I need them to stop all of that hanging out around the building.
Around the building, okay. All righty, come back in 1
Make
month,
the community happy.
the first meeting in
Okay.
August.
Yes, ma'am,
Okay.
please.
Item 7, review of issues at Extended Stay Studio at 2750 Chestnut Street.
Representative KT Investment, yes, ma'am. Your name for the record?
My name is Wanda Grant. I'm the GM at Extended Stay Studios.
Okay.
Thanks for coming, Ms. Grant. I've had several complaints about the extended stay, not only the premises of where you are, but outside. Buggies, the community of, if anyone is out here from the Highland Gardens in Highland Park, the Highland Park Association president, I've had 5 business owners around the area to also come out. They've been cleaning up the facilities for you on the outside. The Walmart buggies, I have pictures, the dumpster service has called me. I need you all to explain to me what's going on as far as your contracting with your cleaning, for one thing. Who does the outside, who does your landscaping, and what's the deal with your tenants? How does that work? Because they're causing issues within the Highland Park community as well. It's several incidents with crime, several incidents with loitering around the gas stations. So can you talk to me about that?
Well, extended stay, we don't have any control of the hanging out at the gas station. And it's the car wash across the street. That's not ours either. We can't control people that hang out over there either. They're not guests at the hotel. I mean, most of them have been banned from the hotel. And the trash at those 2 dumpsters are not our dumpsters. And people around the surrounding area dump at those dumpsters. The buggies, yeah, the guest does use those buggies sometimes from Walmart, and they put them across the street. But, you know, I have talked to them as well, let them know that they cannot use Walmart buggies to bring their grocery across and put the buggies across the street. But most of that stuff is not pertaining to the hotel. That's across the street at the car wash that was abandoned. And the other dumpster at the other building on, I want to say that's Poplar Street. But that's not my guests at the hotel dumping at those dumpsters.
Okay, so here's the thing with that. I understand you're managing the hotel. I never met her. Can you pull your mask down so we can hear you?
I'm sorry.
And tell us your name as well.
I'm Marion Ackley, the Highland Park Community Association president. And the team and I have been cleaning up, trying to revitalize our community, make it look better and appear to other customers, future businesses, and residents in our community. Now here's the thing with that. We conduct different types of community cleaning and activities to make sure that our residents are feeling comfortable, and we're trying to motivate them to actually take part in the community, keeping the community looking good. So with that being said, you say your customers use the Walmart buggy, but they're not returning those Walmart buggies back to Walmart. I've submitted several pictures of them taking those buggies and leaving them at the abandoned car wash. I've also taken several pictures of some of your materials being dumped at the dumpster, but not in the dumpster, outside the dumpster on the ground. Okay, we've taken pictures of mattresses, clothing, shoes, you name it. It's coming from your facility. Okay, I just can't imagine another person want to bring a mattress and dump it right there at that
District 4, I can imagine, girl.
I mean, it's really a burden to have to keep cleaning up behind your business where you have a dumpster, and I've taken pictures where it was filled to capacity. I've taken pictures to where your dumpster had mattresses on the outside on the ground, and I've also submitted those pictures as well. The team and I have been working real hard trying to keep the community looking clean and neat. I'll find it the next day or 2, same way. Like someone went into the dumpsters and pulled the trash from out of the compactor and opened up the garbage bags and just dump it on the ground out of maybe retaliation, or maybe they were looking for something, I'm not sure. But you are responsible for your customers being in your business, going to Walmart, using their buggies, and returning those buggies back to Walmart. Now, I have not seen that done. Now, we did a buggy run, and we've collected over 20 some odd buggies throughout the community. Now, it takes a lot of people to go up and down these long streets to collect buggies, and we haven't even pressed the half of the neighborhood. Only a few streets where the buggies are left. But seeing that you said that they return the buggies, that's not true. We return those buggies. I mean, I'm not paying the people to volunteer their services to beautify our community, all to have it thrown back in our face.
Okay, thank you. So
Well,
the thing is that this is what I need to know. What is the surveillance like in that area? And the residents shouldn't be bringing, and they shouldn't be residents. Is this becoming a permanent housing for these residents, for the patrons, or what's happening?
Most of them are, and I have spoke to them about those buggies, and some of them do use the buggies, but it's a whole bunch of homeless people around there. You took the pictures, correct, but you took the pictures of the car wash dumpster, and that's clothes, mattress, chairs and sofas. We don't have chairs and sofas like that. They dump on our property as well. The mattress that you've seen in the back, those are our mattresses. The dumpster was full. We could not get the mattress in there at that time.
So what do you do with your mattresses when the dumpster is full?
The dumpster was full. Those are our mattresses, but the mattress and stuff that they have across the street with the chairs and all this other stuff, I don't have any control of that. That's across the street. And you took the picture. You know, homeless people over there at night, they set up dressers and beds and in the washer stall.
Please talk to us. Just talk to us. We've
but
heard her, but you talk to us and tell us.
All right, but I'm just saying, she's saying that it's my guest at the hotel, which is not true. We have a whole
Well, we need to
bunch
find, I think the real bottom line of this is we need to find out who owns the car wash itself. That's the property.
Right.
Whoever got these properties, that's where you can put the our 311 or our 9.
Right.
Put them over and let them put a penalty on them for trash.
Right. So, in conclusion of this, I would like you or the owner, I know he's out of town, to get with the community members, that neighborhood association that you all are operating beside, and those businesses, because I have 5 of them that are willing to talk to you all, because they say it's been an issue for about 5 years. I don't know how long you've been there.
But we don't have any control of that. That's the car wash. That's the homeless people.
So the operation of your business, I appreciate your responses,
Yes,
but the
ma'am.
operation of the business. So within 30 days, I need you, the general manager or the owner, to schedule a meeting with the neighborhood association and the business owners surrounding you, and include me in any emails to get that resolved from outside of the car wash, but your business is what the concern is today.
Absolutely, I agree. I mean, I don't have a problem with that, but when she said it's, my guest dumping over there, it's not my guest. I mean, we have a camera system right there. People dump there all the time. At night, when I leave from work.
We've got to get to the bottom of that, though. We got to get it cleaned up one way or the other. So if it's not you, it's somebody, and we need to let you help us get it cleaned up.
And I've also have some business owners who can witness, but they're not here to say that they've seen the customers dump their belongings in that dumpster, but not in the dumpster, but on the ground.
It's the property owner's responsibility to keep that up. So we got a facility for that.
Yeah, the car wash was abandoned. I mean, no one owned the car wash.
They don't own it. It's abandoned.
Yes, no one owns the car wash, so they hang out all day. I mean, they dump stuff. I mean, people just pull up and dump.
Housing codes get to the bottom of that for us, okay?
Communicating with them as well.
Okay. All right, Marcia.
Let's do it. Thank you for coming in. I'll follow up with you outside so I can get your contact information, and we need to schedule a meeting with that neighborhood and those businesses.
Very good. Next item.
Do you want them to come back to council?
Yes, in 30 days.
In 30 days. So that's the first meeting in August?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right, number 8. Next item.
Hold on just a second. Item 8, resolution denying and/or revoking right to operate.
Anybody in finance over there? We got any
To
changes?
operate a business for failure to purchase
Number
business
8.
license. Doing business is Mr. Gus's Restaurant at 6268 Atlanta Highway.
This is a.
They don't have a business license.
They don't have a business license?
No, sir.
Okay.
They
Need a
do
motion
not.
to suspend the rules?
Mr. President, move to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Need a motion to adopt?
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous, resolution is adopted. Item 9, resolution denying or revoking right to operate a business for failure to purchase business license, Polished by Sophia at 8125 Decker Lane, Sweet J.
Need a
Mr.
motion?
President, move to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous,
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
unanimous, resolution is adopted. Item 10, resolution authorizing Mayor Reed to execute an agreement with ALDOT regarding streetscape improvements along both sides of Moulton Street from Tallapoosa to Montgomery Street.
Need a motion to suspend.
Mr. President, move to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous,
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
unanimous, resolution is adopted. Item 6, application for a lounge retail liquor Class 1 license doing business as the Velvet Room Bistro at 3526 East Dale Circle.
Representative of the Velvet Room, Bristow. Yes, ma'am. Your name for the record, please.
LaShonda June.
Okay. Is any this is a public hearing. Anyone would like to speak against this item, please come forward. Seeing none, declare the public hearing has been held. It's proper for the council.
Mr. President, move to suspend the rules.
Have a motion to suspend rules. All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous,
Mr. President, move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
unanimous, resolution is
Good luck with
adopted.
your business.
What's up, LaShonda?
Thank you.
Item 12, application for retail beer and retail table wine off premises only, doing business as Dollar General Store at 2749 Lower Wetumpka Road.
Representative Dollar General Store on Lower Wetumpka Road.
They ain't coming.
No representative here. We'll have the public hearing, and then this will be carried over. This is a public hearing. Anyone would like to speak against this item, please come forward. Seeing none, declare the public hearing has been held. It's proper for the council, and we'll carry this over 2 weeks since they're not here. Okay?
Yes, sir. Item 13, application for restaurant retail liquor license, doing business as Buffalo's Cafe, 6854 East Chase Parkway.
Representative of Buffalo Cafe. Yes, sir. Your
Charles
name for the record.
Vitella.
Sir?
Charles Vitella.
Okay, Charles, that's down there. This is a public hearing. Anyone would like to speak against this item, please come forward. Seeing none, declare the public hearing's been held. It's proper for the council. This is in my district, it's fine.
Mr. President, move to suspend the rules.
Have a motion to suspend rules. All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous,
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
unanimous, resolution
Good luck with your
is
business, sir.
adopted.
Thank you.
Item 14, resolution reappointing John Knight to the Housing Authority.
Mr. President, move to suspend the rules.
On the rest of the agenda,
Si, senor.
all in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous,
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
unanimous, resolution is adopted. Item 15, resolution reappointing Mark J. Dearlum to the Medical Clinic Board.
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise, okay. I got somebody, Con you wanting to speak on this item?
Here you go.
There you go.
K-O-N-Y-O-U. Yes, sir, do you want to speak? Come forward, please.
I think he on 16, John.
Is he on 16? I got him down to 15.
Yeah.
Is he on 16?
He came. Hey, Brent.
Okay.
Yeah, they came.
Just hold in it. Your next item. 16. They got you down for 15, it's 16. Okay, I got you. Hang on. Just a minute. All right.
Okay.
And a motion to suspend the rules. Got it?
Yeah, move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Okay, now we're at 16.
Item 16, pursuant to Section 1153B1 Code of Alabama, authorization of
You come back
demolition
now,
of
Mr. Yu.
unsafe structures at the listed locations.
Mr. Yu, you own a piece of property
Hey,
here?
Yeah.
You got somebody?
Yeah,
yes,
overlook.
You can take your mask down so I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, you came here last time also, try to,
Brandon
the house got knocked down and we already paid the, okay, can my wife tell you the detail, please?
Yes, tell me which street it is.
Yes, Mr. Jenwright.
Speak in the microphone, please.
Mr. Jenwright, you know about the property that we have on 1805 French Street?
What street?
We've talked French
Street in Montgomery. We've talked to you several times about this property, and we have talked to Mr. Brandon and Hodge and have called. And our city council lady just became in seat, so she briefly didn't know much about what was going on. But you guys gave us 45 days, and with those 45 days, we did make improvement. But COVID-19 broke out, and then we
Brandon?
kept talking to Brandon about this issue about our house. But you guys
I don't see
still
that piece
turned,
of property on this sheet.
tore down our house and put a lien against it.
Oh, it's you're talking about 17, okay. Hang on a minute, let's get 16 off the deal. I need a motion to
Move to
adopt
uphold.
16.
Mr. President, move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
All right, now we're on the one you're talking about, 17, item 17. Okay, Brandon, now
This was
what's the location?
This is the last
this
month,
the old one.
18 and 8. That's why I said we're not on the docket today.
Okay,
She told
Brandon.
me I had to wait till next week to get on the docket.
Mr. President, I think what happened, they was on the agenda.
talked to you
Brandon,
last
you want to bring us up to date? They was here 2 weeks ago.
Yes, sir.
And I went over the agenda. They didn't get a chance to talk about what their fees or whatever they need to talk. So bring us up to date on that for me.
Yeah, so the process was, Mr. and Ms. Yu actually started in October of 2016. We served them notice on the property at 1808 French Street. They never made any substantial repairs to the building, and we actually had just torn it down earlier in 2021. And they were on the agenda last week for approval to assess the cost against their parcel, which is in the form of a lien at the probate office.
Okay.
And
So now,
we've actually already, after approval last week, we've submitted the lien to be filed with the Montgomery County Probate Office.
So they just trying to.
And we were
appeal.
sitting in here when you guys sit there and we didn't hear nothing. You guys didn't call us up, but you was out, Mr. Jim Wright. And we had went to the councilman, so she knew beforehand that we wanted to talk about this issue.
Yeah.
And we was just ignored.
well, I think that they had plenty of time. They were notified many times, right?
Yes, sir.
Before it was torn down.
And what's the issue today? Are we trying to reduce that fee is what we're doing?
Yes,
You're
ma'am.
asking-
Yes.
Okay, what's the fee?
I don't, it's
It's $2,450.
And how much of that, Mr. Hodge, is like administrative fee and all of that extra?
Zero. The
All of
only,
it is
the
That's
only
basic.
thing we include in the lien is our actual expenditure to the contractor.
So that's what the contractor
That's what we
charged.
paid him, yes, ma'am.
And the contract,
and yeah, and the contractor tore down the doghouse too. It wasn't in agreement. You said the house, not the doghouse. He tore our doghouse down. I got pictures, but I didn't bring them, but on the thing, he tore the doghouse down too.
and also we
That's a
give
fair
the,
number.
It's approved by the council.
Before,
know
you gave
that
us 45 days to
we-
make improvement. We
can
did make those
do
improvements.
And,
And he still tore it
No,
down.
you had a lot longer than 45 days. This thing's been going on for how many years?
Yeah, but you
Notice was
deny
first
it. He
served.
kept denying. I
It's
kept
the-
calling down there. Even the contractor called down there. He deny it, deny
Yes.
it, deny it.
We
Every
actually
time.
issued-
And
I
then I
remember
came
the
to you
conversation.
personally and talked to
There's
you.
been plenty of time.
Yes,
Sorry.
I have.
Okay.
Even when you came out in our community on the
For what
20th.
I
night?
saw it.
on-
We had
President's-
plenty of time.
Yes, I've addressed this issue.
Okay.
And then keep saying, Brandon, go back to Brandon, go back to Brandon.
Okay,
I go
well, I
back to
think the
Brandon, go
bottom
back
line
to-
is
So,
you owe the money.
but can we just get this issue addressed, Mr.
Okay,
Jones?
I don't see, you see anything there you want to do, Marcia? It's your district. Okay, all right,
My house is gone now. It's just an
thank you
empty
very
lot.
much.
And
Next item.
And last word, the contractor, we give them the money already.
They already did. They didn't
not
do that.
I can't help you, can't help you. Okay,
We're sorry
Okay.
about that.
it's all
All
right,
right, thanks.
it's over.
Item 7.
Okay.
Item 17.
Next item.
Item 17 is resolution assessing the cost of abatement of unsafe
Okay.
structures on various lots.
Get a
Mr.
motion.
President, move to
Wait,
adopt.
wait,
On
hold
favor.
on, hold
What
on.
you got?
Is there anybody in here who want to talk about one of these items on 17? Because that's what I think we did last week. We just approved it and we didn't hear from somebody
But
sitting out
nobody
there.
signed up. There's no,
Okay, all
all
right.
right, okay.
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Okay.
Item 18, resolution declaring, authorizing, and assessing cost of abatement of public nuisances on various lots.
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted.
Okay. All right, Madam Clerk, what's the next thing you got on your agenda there?
I have contingency funds for the council. I have put before you. These have been approved by the mayor. District 2, 3,500 to Morning View Neighborhood Association, 3,000 to Windbrook Dexter Ridge Neighborhood Association, 2,500 to Greater Madison Park Neighborhood Association, 1,500 to Deerfield, 1,500 to Timbers, 1,600 to Macoa. For District 3, 500 to MPS for Capitol Heights Middle School football team, 500 to MPS for Lee High School volleyball team, 300 to Youth in Action, 300 to Destiny Driven, 500 to King Hill Neighborhood Association. For District 8, 2,000 to Brighton Estates Neighborhood Association, 2,000 to Hateless Foundation, 1,000 to American Cancer Society. And Mr. Mayor, I've received the following request from Councilor Graham. These are all on the vendor list, 1,000. What do you want to do about Common Grounds? You want it to, Ms. Graham, you want it to Common Grounds Montgomery Incorporated?
Yes, ma'am, that's what we sent it to
Is that what
last time.
Randy was saying? Yes, ma'am. 1,000 to Common Grounds Montgomery Incorporated, 1,000 to Homeview Holistic Family Health Care, 1,000 to Boys and Girls Club of the River Region for West End Boys and Girls Club, 1,000 to Mercy House, and 500 to Westside Restoration Corporation. And all of these are vendors.
Okay, anybody else?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
Mr. President, Ms. Blaylock, can I do $1,000 to the Garden District Association, their vendors, and $1,000 to Child Protect, also a vendor?
Okay, anybody else?
Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
Hey, can we talk about how we're going to take care, how we're going to do Bellingrath? What do we need to do with Bellingrath?
Well, we gotta see what the county does.
Sir?
Let's check and see what the county does between now and next meeting, then we put the money on them, okay?
CC,
You go ahead and do what you want to do now. But I
I just
think
checked Dean's.
you got your rental money you can do between now and then too,
Okay.
okay? All right, I need a motion.
Move for approval.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous?
Okay, on our public agenda for non-agenda items, I've got